I'm going to start doing more lives on here, take any questions that come through, and also just share with you guys what I've got going on. So today we are going to get ready together with some new makeup I just got, and I'm going to tell you guys my quantum leap story. So, if you are new here, hi, my name is Madison. I have had spiritual gifts since I was a kid. And it's really interesting growing up with spiritual gifts because whenever you grow up with spiritual gifts, you assume that everybody like has and lives the same reality you do, right? So I was probably like 8 or 10 years old before I even learned or realized that not everybody has the same spiritual gifts that I do. And so I remember being probably 8 or 10 years old, and I told my mom that I was going to go share with a girl in my class that her dead grandparent came to me with a message for her. I'm in like elementary school, right? And my mom has to explain to me that like that girl might not resonate or understand or maybe be able to connect with her grandparent. And it was like really shocking to me because I do definitely remember being like, oh wow, not everybody is living in this like same reality of me, if that makes sense, because I thought everybody was all having these, very, very similar experiences, right? So from there, just throughout, I really struggled with what to do with the gifts, right? Sometimes I wanted them to go away so I could be normal. Sometimes I wanted to explore them a little bit more, and really everything in between. And throughout that time, I really struggled with addiction. I started drinking when I was probably 16, 18, and struggled with the alcohol usage until I was about 30. And I ended up getting sober right before I turned 30. And that definitely put me on the trajectory of being able to do things like go in on my soul mission because I had the space and the clarity to be able to make those transformations. So I've used every, I feel like every like 3D tactic for healing I tried, and I realized not all of them maybe give a full solution, right? So I started to dabble in a lot of holistic healing modalities. And for me, what that looked like is I started to do a lot of energy healing through Reiki. I started to tap into things like my spiritual gifts. I started to connect with my spirit guides and the Akashic records. And ultimately, what I was trying to find out is like, why do I have gifts and what am I supposed to be doing with them? And so, as I was trying to learn about this, I learned that we all have a soul purpose, and in our soul. In our Akashic record, we all have kind of our predestined plan for our life where we said, hey, here's where I'm coming in at, here's what I want to be doing with my life. And sometimes we follow that plan really well, but sometimes we get here and we get a little bit distracted by the worldly things and we maybe forget the plan because we don't always know, right? So I heard about the Akashic records, and all I knew was that if you could figure out how to get in, you could access your soul purpose. So I was like, let's do it. I want to figure out why I have gifts. And at the time, specifically, I was really trying to figure out why I had mediumship abilities. And I had used my own mediumship abilities to heal a ton of my own grief. And then I got put in a situation where I was now able to take these gifts and start to use them to help others have similar experiences to heal their own gifts. So that slowly led to me starting to work with other people doing one-on-one readings. And then that led me to having customers that were like, hey, I'm pretty sure I can do what you can do, but I don't really know how to access it. Maybe I don't feel safe accessing it. Maybe I just want to be like led a little bit in the process. So I just started to develop different classes to teach people all the things that I had used to kind of heal myself from addiction and mental health and just different things that I had struggled with, right? And ultimately, I found out that it really has to be a pretty cohesive experience. You have to be taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and also acknowledging that you have a soul and you need some sort of spiritual connection. I don't care what that looks like. But I do definitely believe that having some sort of spiritual connection is the bridge to a lot of expedited growth. I also believe learning about metaphysical and quantum principles is a huge way to expedite your growth as well. So now that I have, this background, this experience, this knowledge, I started working with the concept of quantum leaping. And so I really wanted to know, like, okay, I've kind of been through, before I was 30, I was in AA, I was divorced, all the things, right? Made all the bad decisions. And so I was like, okay, I want to like restart my life, but I don't know how. And that's when I started to work with a lot of these different modalities. And so within quantum leaping, we have to work with a couple different principles. We have to work with energy, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know that everything is energy. And within the currency of energy, some energy is higher vibrational, which means it's going to be associated with things like joy, peace, fulfillment. Some energy is lower vibrational. That's going to be more with fear, stress, uncertainty, and being able to work with the energy within your own body through Reiki and through quantum healing is something that hugely shifted just my nervous system and my ability to regulate myself. I used to be somebody that I would definitely have described a past version of me as somebody who's very anxious. Now, I do definitely notice I have moments where anxiety comes up, but I am, as a person, I'm not anxious anymore, right? And so I also do a lot of work around shifting timelines and collapsing timelines. And so what that means is there's different versions of you out there that are still experiencing hardship or pain. So I like to refer to these as the shadow self. So maybe you have a version of self who is out there from when you were 7 years old that experienced a hardship or a trauma that you never processed. And so, that is still there and that is still out. And as you're going through that process, what you'll notice is that you can't actually go in and give past versions of you love. So if I have a memory of something that I did in the past that's like embarrassing, what I'll do is I'll, as this version of self, kind of visualize myself going to that version of self and wrapping her in love or peace or abundance or whatever it was she needed at the time, right? Because I think we're so quick to criticize ourselves and to think like, ooh, that was so dumb or embarrassing or whatever. But it wasn't, right? And everything's just a learning process. Hey, Jaden, I see you in the comments there. Thanks for tuning in today. So that led me into a little bit more of working with quantum healing and quantum codes. So in the quantum world, you have to have kind of the foundational understanding that everything is energy and there's these different timelines that exist where different versions of you from the past that aren't healed are impacting this current version of you, right? And a couple of different ways to do that is through you can work with quantum codes. And so during my Quantum Leap series that I'm doing right now, I teach you guys two quantum codes. I teach you guys the code to uplevel your kindness and your self-love and all of that healing that needs to be done. And then I also teach you guys another code to access what I refer to as like your soul potential timeline. So there is an ascension code in working with quantum codes that allows you to sort of tap into that ascended timeline of why you came here and what you're supposed to be doing. So that is something that I teach you guys, and I teach you guys how to use these codes. The goal of everything that I do is to give you the ability to take all of these different healing modalities, use them on yourself anytime, anywhere, so that way you can feel really comfortable that like you know what's going on in your body and your nervous system and you can keep yourself regulated. I did see a comment, do you have any crystals? I do. I have quite a few crystals. Currently, right now, what I'm loving is I do have a clear quartz that I've been keeping on me, and clear quartz is really good for clarity and grounding. I also have selenite sticks. Selenite is for protection and also for charging crystals. And I have some selenite sticks around my house. I also have black tourmaline, which is a crystal for protection. I have that in various places in my house. And then I have a ton of rose quartz and amethyst as well. And rose quartz is all about love and self love. And amethyst is about bringing in manifestations quicker, but also being able to tap into abundance. So, yeah, if there's any specific crystals you guys want to know about, you can definitely drop them and I can do a separate video on anything specific you guys want to know because I do crystal work in a lot of my meditations. I also do Reiki energy healing and quantum healing, and so I use crystals in those as well. So if you guys want to know more about that, just let me know. But crystals is definitely something that in the quantum leap journey, I normally am working with at least one crystal every day. So currently I have one that's like in my skirt. I would show you guys, but it's like not but this crystal specifically I programmed, and by programmed you hold the crystal, you just kind of close your eyes, connect with the crystal, and you'll say, I would like to program this crystal to keep me safe, bring in abundance, whatever, right? And so I always have a couple crystals on me normally, and then as you can tell, I have them through my house as well. I also had a ton of crystals in my car recently whenever I got into a pretty bad car accident, and I was very confident like the crystals kept me safe because there was crystals literally scattered everywhere throughout my car. That was literally the only thing that got like shook up in the car. But it was also very much like the most damage I could have gotten and still like driven away. Like it was crazy. And I was like, thanks, crystals. So I do think the crystals and the spirit guides totally work together. Okay, so quantum codes is a way to access quantum healing. Another way to access quantum healing is through simply tuning into the body. And this is going to sound really cheesy, but a lot of times whenever I start my quantum healing sessions, I'll tune into that person's body and I'll just say, tell me what's wrong or show me what's wrong. And sometimes it will take me to a original incident that caused this injury. So let's say you're 35 years old and you have an ankle injury that actually originated when you were 7 years old, right? And it'll kind of take me back into that timeline. I can collapse it. I'll also work with sacred geometry, and I also work with the codes we were mentioning as well during this process. So all of this has made it really apparent to me that you absolutely can choose to quantum leap whenever you want to, as long as you know how, and as long as you're quantum leaping into something that's very aligned for you, right? So I have a 30-day challenge going on right now where I'm teaching you guys day by day how to quantum leap. And you just have to follow along to see that. I'm doing reels every day. And then I also have a PDF that is now available. It's just like a 31 page, maybe 32 page workbook that takes you through every single day, and then also various things that you can do as you're going through the challenge, links to videos, things that may be a little bit more in depth than what I'm sharing online. So if that's something you're interested, I do have that linked in the show notes. It is only $27 for that PDF. So if you're somebody who you're like, I want a quantum leap, but I need like a something tangible, physical, that's why I made it personally. It's downloadable, easy to access, and there's a page for every single day. So if changing your life and quantum leaping is something that you really want to do, this is a very, I would say, like reputable way to do it because I'm just working with a ton of different quantum and metaphysical concepts. And we're working with some universal law concepts as well, right? And that all sounds super difficult to understand or comprehend, or at least it did to me for a while. And then I started to realize a lot of this is just simply learning one piece at a time, learning what a quantum code is, how it works, learning, how you're able to go and put a quantum code into a certain area of your body for healing or relief. There's just so many different things that you can use these things for once you start to tap into them, right? And I firmly believe we all have these abilities, and I want to teach everybody the ability to regulate themselves for whatever piece of their healing journey they're on, because everything that I teach in this course is all things that are what I've used to heal myself, right? And if I can go from being a functioning alcoholic to somebody who's now a spiritual entrepreneur, if I can make that quantum leap, like you guys can do whatever the quantum leap is that you want to do that feels really out of touch right now, right? Because I think so often we know we know where we want to go. We just need a little bit of a guide, and that's what I like to think that this quantum leap is just the guide for that. Also, this is my current favorite drink. It is the Harris Teeter brand original seltzer. Love it. Okay, so that's about me and my quantum leap journey. And if you guys want to follow along, you can see all 30 days of content where I take you through each day. If you want the PDF, you can see that attached in the notes. And then if you're like, okay, love this, I have spiritual gifts, I have no idea what to do with them or where to start, I also have an Akashic Records class that will take you into meet your spirit guides, connect with your soul purpose, and connect with your past lives. So all that's linked in the show notes. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And I do also have some spots left for Hilton Head. So we are going to Hilton Head on a retreat in September. It'll be September 11th to September 14th. And it is going to be a mix of soul purpose work, quantum leaping work, and just like fun girl time. So we're gonna do everything from like mermaid night to deep energy healing on the beach and everything in between. So it's gonna be really fun, and I'm really trying to create community where whenever you guys leave, you feel like, okay, I've met my tribe. These people get me. These people understand me. I like being around these people. And especially if you're somebody that maybe during your quantum leap, you're realizing not everybody gets me, or maybe my old crowd doesn't get me. If that's you, would love to have you come on the retreat, would love to meet you. That's also in the link in the show notes. But if you have any questions, DM me. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I will be back tomorrow for another live, and I will shoot you guys some reels later on what to do next in the Quantum Leap Challenge. All right, see you soon.